Hello, everyone. A very good afternoon. My name is Viveka Sonar. For the ones who don't know me, we've talked about Maharashtra CET for 2 sessions before this. And today we'll be talking about the roadmap to JBIMS, everything that you need to know about JBIMS before joining. I cleared my MBA from Maharashtra through Maharashtra CET All India quota with a 99.98 percentile. And then I joined JBIMS and was there from 2017 to 2019. So I'll just begin the session about the courses and the admission procedure to JBIMS, all the cutoffs and everything that you need to know. From there, we'll talk a little bit about the profile peers and how your batch networking functions, how exactly, who all are there with you while you are there at JBIMS. Then we'll cover about a bit deep about the specializations, everything from curriculum to electives and faculty that you need to know, all about the esteemed alumni post that, or the industry connect, the placements, opportunities, packages. I'm sure a lot of you would be interested in that as well. And then everything about JBIMS that I was attracted to and I wanted to be a part of it. So we'll begin our brief. So this is what we discussed last time also, that for JBIMS, the total intake is 140 seats. There are 47 Maharashtra state open seats. There are 18 All India seats. For the Maharashtra state seats, the cutoff is around 99.94 percentile. And the admission is only through CET. For the All India seats, you have CET, CMAT, CAT, and the cutoff is like as high as 99.98 percentile, which is difficult but not impossible. Then we talk about specializations. I know there's a lot of stories around JBIMS being really good with finance, but we also have marketing, operations, human resources, and information systems, which are equally impressive and have equally good job opportunities as well as great curriculum. You know all about the networking, all about JBIMS being a CEO factory, because we have industry experienced faculties who've been there for like a lot of time now and are teaching us for like more than over 30 years. The alumni networks and obviously the access to the best of corporates that are there through all the competitions, projects, and internship opportunities that you'll be getting. A lot of you have asked me questions previous sessions also about the MHRD and MSc Finance courses, which are there along with the MMS MBA course. So for your MMS MBA is again a 2-year full-time program, which has 4 semesters, and that's how it is for MHRD and MSc Finance as well. So MHRD is Masters in Human Resources. The intake for that is 20 seats. The admission process goes on. JBIMS has an internal test which you guys have to appear for. Post that, there's a personal interview. Then you have a group activity. And then you get admission to the course. It's again a 2 years full time with 4 semesters. For the MS Finance, the intake is 30 seats. The admission process for 2020, and I believe would be similar for 2021 as well, is you appear through CET and CAT. Then there's a personal interview. Then you move on to a group activity, a writing aptitude test, and then you secure an admission to the course, which is again a 2-year full time with 4 semesters. There are also part-time programs which are there for finance, marketing, human resources as well, which are 3-year courses. And the process is there on the website. So I've put the website link below. You guys can refer that for all the course curriculum and other details as well. And also one more thing, you guys have any questions, please keep adding it in the comment section. So we'll take it up later on. Now, a lot of you might be knowing that profile is something which is not really looked at when you come into JBIMS, because the admission process goes through from CET directly to admission. But a profile or building up a profile is very essential when you are there for the 2 years during the course, as well as for your placements and interviews, because that's where all your personal interviews, CV shortlisting, as well as group discussions and everything become really important. I'm going to give you a short brief about what worked for me. Again, a profile is like having this puzzle. You all will have a unique puzzle for yourself. There'll be different kind of things that are going to be helpful for you, and make sure that you fit your own puzzle really well. So starting from academics, which are very important because you need to have at least a consistent performance, or at least like an average or an above average academics to get into most of the top tier B schools. Then the second puzzle is work experience. I'm sure a lot of you must be wondering if freshers do get an equal chance at the admission process or later on in placements. They do. But your work experience, in case you don't have a work experience, you should back it up with internships and projects and other events and committees that you've been a part of, where you were able to showcase your team leadership skills or your team building skills as well. For me, what worked as part of my work experience was the entire bit where I worked with ISRO for my BTech project, or I moved on and was a part of a couple of internships and a couple of committees and everything. I'm sure for the ones, so it's not impossible as a fresher to go for an MBA school, yeah, for an MBA course. You can always back it up with relevant experience and other things which can show your profile and improve it in a good way. Moving on to co-curricular. So again, certifications and courses, while they are not the most important thing that comes for a B school admission or for your shortlist and everything, but it is necessary if you are going in a particular track and you want to develop yourself for that track. Do keep on having certain things which might not be covered in curriculum but are required as a refresher courses to build up yourself. Moving on to extracurriculars, I'm sure a lot of you would have done different things in your sports and arts, like for example, literary arts, performing arts, and would want to showcase there. MBA is all about versatility and how you build your different skills. A lot of you must have built certain skills while being in sports, certain skills while being in arts, and all of this can tie up together for you if you know how to translate it from your strengths to like a business problem solving parlance. So a lot of initiatives that you must have taken or social work that you must be doing is all counted. So you need not worry if your academics are not a strong suite. There are always other areas where you're doing better and you can like count on those skills. And the last but not the least, which ties up all the things that we've been talking about so far, are the personalized or the unique skills and strengths which is something that you must be doing, either like a collection sort of thing, or you must be interested in traveling. And all of these things are also something which is unique to you, is equivalent to like building up a profile or building up that experience or exposure which you require to succeed. So that's a brief about how profiles function. For me, I completed my engineering in 2017. I worked with ISRO for a while, and then I joined JBIMS in 2017 itself. For me, I secured my internship with Unilever. I worked there for 2 months, and then finally I got my placement with Bajaj Finserv. So it's not impossible for you to get good companies if you are a fresher. That is something that you should really keep in mind. We'll move on to the next thing is careers. A lot of you must be interested in how the placements look like, what are the summer internship opportunities, how the final roles look like. So this is a brief about that. On the left-hand side, the graph that you see are the sector-wise offers. That is the industries which come to JBIMS. At the maximum industries are from the BFSI and IT sector, because Mumbai being a financial capital, you do have all the big companies there and they do come to the campus for really good roles. Then you have consulting. Then you have technology and e-commerce companies. You have FMCG and pharma, and then all the manufacturing and the conglomerates which are there. In terms of roles, you would see on the right-hand side that all the big roles which are there, from consulting to general management, to your product management, as well as marketing research roles, sales and marketing, supply chain, and all, which cover really good aspect of all like the trim roles which comes for these industries. If any of you don't understand any of these roles, or if you want to know more about it, do let me know in the comment section. So we'll take it up at the end. I'll just leave this here for like 30 seconds for you guys to read it out and to understand. If there's anything that you don't know, then we can always discuss it. Moving on to the next thing, which is life at JBIMS. I'm sure a lot of you must be excited about knowing how those 2 years look like when you are in the institute. So I'm sure academics is something which everyone is looking at, that, okay, finally now CET is done, we'll enter, and then, like we'll do well and all. So I wish you all the best for that. But it's very important to be very focused on academics, because it is something you learn. These subjects which you learn over here, other than the fact that if you've done your bachelor's in management and the courses alike, you would know a bit of accounting, you know a bit of how management and all functions. But for engineers and for people who do not have that background, the courses here are like completely different from what you've been doing for those 4 years or 3 years when you were pursuing your undergrad. Here you will talk all about, like, statistics are important. Then you have organizational behaviors, you have communication skills, you have other relevant subjects which are related to your finance, marketing, and other specializations that you'll be choosing. So at JBIMS, across the 4 semesters, there are about 32 courses that you can take. They involve a lot of projects, case studies, seminars, and workshops. For all your case studies and all, sometimes it's like a day before you've been told that, okay, this is what you'll be prepared for. And the next day you have to be prepared for that. You have to understand that academics is something which goes side by side with all the other things that you would want to do and while you are at a school. JBIMS in particular is very student driven. We have a lot of committees and a lot of clubs, and each one is doing their best foot forward to create good opportunities and create a platform for the students. amongst the 10 plus committees, there's like a lot of extracurricular events as well. You have sports, then you have our school fest, and you also have other research oriented projects, research oriented like research papers, and exhibitions and everything. This is a very good place for you to understand and develop a peer networking, to create a platform for the fellow students that you have with you. Along with that, also these committees are very important for you to develop that necessary skill set, which might not be like, which you might have not had a chance to be a part of during your undergrad. So I'm sure for undergrad, these activities and all are important, but not a lot of people are taking part in it. But for your masters, you should always try and do something different, or try and be a part of these committees, and develop possibly, like if you're interested in sports, you could go for sports management. If you're interested in like events and all, you could always take that up. JBIMS has over 70 plus corporates which visit us almost every year for different things. Like you have internships, for internship opportunities, the final placement opportunities, live programs, and the best of so there are a lot of management training programs which are there, which have got really huge response across like the country. All the top tier programs do visit our campus as well. So that's an important thing, that you also get an access to be like network with other B school students through that programs. Like for example, when I was with Unilever, that we had a ULIP program, and I got to interact with everyone from the other IIMs and other tier 1 B schools, and it was a really great experience because you build that network for yourself to carry on or count on later. And then there are all these competitions which corporates open on the campus, where you get to see how the companies are functioning, or like live case study competitions, or you have like an entrepreneurship competitions. And here is where you get an access to understand, like be a part of live project while you're still studying. So these are very insightful for you to figure out what is working out for you, where is it that you want to be. Because like even if I say finance, it's a vast field, and there are like so many opportunities where you could like be a part of. Other than that, all the other B schools also have their competitions. You're always more than welcome to be there. So while you are at JBIMS, I would say that all of these things are very essential. Make sure that you're not doing just one single thing at a time. You are there and you are taking part in other competitions or committees, or you being part of live projects, or you're doing everything else that is going to help you later on. What worked for me while I was at JBIMS is something I would really like to share, or is something which you guys should also take into account when you are choosing any B school. Just a minute, there is probably some network issue here. Am I audible, and is the screen visible to everyone? Sure. So yeah. So I was talking about why I chose JBIMS, or why is it essential for you guys to have certain factors in your mind when you are deciding for which B school to join. So for me, academics is a little important, because yeah, you're going to be there to study. So it's very essential to know that what curriculum you will be studying, who's the one who will be teaching you. Obviously, the onus of development, or the onus of studying, or the onus of like understanding new things is on you. But it is equally important to have an industry relevant curriculum, or faculties who have an experience in the industry teaching you. So like I mentioned before also, we have a lot of our alums who are coming in and teaching us. So they are there for over 30, 35 years. When you are learning from them, it is their experience over the years, which is obviously going to put you a lot ahead when it comes to joining a corporate after your curriculum. It is student driven, so you get the access to almost every part of development in the institute. Like even all our courses, curriculum, our faculties are designed and decided by the students. So you get a huge say in terms of what you will be studying in those 2 years. And then the clubs and councils, which are obviously going to help you. We have case study clubs, we have other financial clubs, marketing clubs, which are always there trying to build that extra curriculum or that extra relevant material for the students, and it's by the students. It's a great thing. Again, batch strength and networking. JBIMS has a very small batch of 140 students only. So you can personally interact with everyone. You know how it is. You can network well. And similarly, like our alum batch is also accordingly. So you always have an access to everyone, and through all these networking events also that happens. So we have a nostalgia, which is happening every year, which is a batch networking meet for like entire alumni base. And there are a couple of other, like we have a Pune chapter, Mumbai chapter, like a Singapore chapter, wherein you can interact with our faculties or your alumni and faculties and everyone who settled in those countries as well. So all of this really creates like a very good exposure, because even after like passing out of JBIMS, you have access to everyone. You have regular alumni meets. You can always have these groups and everyone where you are in touch with everyone. Then the location, which is obviously like if you are in Mumbai, you have access to all the corporates who are there, all the HOs which are there. And that's the financial capital of India. So you necessarily have a very good command, like obviously for finance students and all, you have the access to internships and live projects very easily. Although these days everything is remote, so that's also a good thing, because wherever you are, you can still be connected. I don't have a lot on this because I've tried to cover a brief about my journey and everything that what JBIMS means to me and what it could mean to you if you are a part of it. And I'm open to questions, so we can discuss briefly about what all is it that you would want me to cover. So for the ones who've asked me what field I have done my MBA, it's an MBA, it's a finance. I interned with Unilever for corporate finance internship, and then at Bajaj Finserv, I've been working as part of a general management program where we get access to all the different companies which are part of Bajaj, and you get to be a part of different teams as well. Is there anything else that you guys would want me to talk about, like about JBIMS or about the other committees or placements? After doing MBA in finance, it is really good because so necessarily what happens in as finance, I'll tell you, is the first year is common for everyone, and then for the second year you get to choose electives. So like for finance, there are all the major electives which are there in terms of your fixed income or derivatives, or if you're talking about any other specialized courses also, they are covered as part of your electives. So after MBA, you are necessarily equipped with all sort of educational information that you need. Now it's up to you on how do you use it and how do you move forward along with that. So it's really good because if you do finance, all the opportunities in terms of your investment banking or your corporate banking or in terms of corporate finance, all these roles open up for you. So you can be a part of each and everything that you have built your profile for, if you have your interest in. Does it answer your question, Sumit? We still have 10 minutes. So if you guys have any more questions, let's talk about that. I'll keep the roles and career site open for you guys because I'm sure that's where most of you would be interested in. Okay, so Abhishek is asking, like for a fresher, what should be the focus 2-3 months prior to joining JBIMS and then in the first 6 months at JBIMS? So I would suggest that for the first 2 or 3 months prior to joining JBIMS, what you could do is you could really learn a little bit about accounting, a little bit about, because that's where I faced struggles. So coming from an engineering background, it was really difficult for me in the beginning to kind of take a hold on like even the basic financial statements. If you could know about the financial statements, or if you could learn a little more about that, it would be really helpful for you. Other than that, you could always look for live projects and other things which are going to help you based on your profile. And in the first 6 months at JBIMS, I would suggest trying and work really hard on your curriculum to give a good try at the competitions which are coming in, because those, like, if you do well in those competitions, it is essentially doing well in terms of your profile and in terms of helping you get a good shortlist and a good placement interviews. Okay, and then there's one question on how is the interview experience at JBIMS? What types of questions are normally asked? So in terms of all the questions that are normally asked, so I'll tell you, like, for summer internship, it's largely about what you have done so far. It's all about your profile. So you'll be asked about, like, if you have work experience, how was it? And then there are a lot of questions which are HR related, and which I would like, I'd rather frame it as something about your profile, or if you handled any important decision in life, how did you go about it? How has your team leadership skills been? If you've taken some initiative, how did you go about it? It's largely about how you are thinking, how structured your thought process is, or how growth oriented you are. Like, if you are always trying to do something better, if you are, how you're trying to ace the situation, etc. So I think largely it goes around that. It's also for like very technical roles, like if investment banking is coming in and those sort of roles, you will also be asked a little bit about technical questions. But since you are only 6 months into MBA, the questions are not that that advanced in particular. You'll be asked largely about the basics that you should know before going into the role of the relevant role. For final placements, however, the questions would be a lot more advanced in terms of what you've done over the last 2 years, how you really built your profile, how your summer internship experience has been, how you can, if you're going into a particular role, why are you interested in that particular role? What made you choose MBA? Everything which you is very required for them to know as to how you're going to be in that organization post joining. Okay, then there's one more question. Is finance tough? Because I'm confused between finance and marketing. I'm from science background. So which field should I be choosing? I wouldn't try and, so see, again, everything is equally difficult and everything is equally easy if you put in like enough effort, or if you don't put in any effort. So I'll say that if you are choosing between finance and marketing, it should largely at this point in time, it should be about what is it that you want to do. If finance is something that you are interested in, it wouldn't matter if it is tough, because you will obviously get a hang of it once you start doing it. So initially, like, I'll say that I would not deny that it was very easy, but the first 3 months is when it is difficult, because you're trying to get a hang of how the statement functions, or how the marketing functions, or like how the markets are functioning, what all things are important, what things are to be looked at. And then later on, you can always start acing it once you know what you are doing. So I wouldn't, and yeah, surely. So if you've done BSc Physics, I'm sure that was also a tough one and you cracked it. So even if you take like a finance, you will be able to crack it. Yeah, there's one more question which I have. One question which is very related to finance is about the United States taper tantrum and what kind of impact it could have in investment banking jobs based out of India. So I would suggest that it depends on what clients you have, like for the Indian firms. So it's okay. Like it can be on the either base. I don't think I'll be the best person to answer that question of yours. Sure. Is there anything else that needs to be answered other than finance? Because I'm sure there'll be some questions in terms of how JBIMS has been. Okay, how important would certifications be in a profile of a fresher? So for me, it worked out. So I'll tell you, like, a brief is like, I did my BTech. While I was doing my BTech, we had a project-based pedagogy at Ahmedabad University. So that's where like all our projects that we did was something where we really worked hands-on the project. We had a lot of in-depth understanding of how things function, at least for my field. So for information and communication technology, I knew what I was doing. So that is something which really helped me later on. There were no additional certifications over there, but yeah, when I came to finance, I did feel like I required other sort of learning, or I did want to understand the things which I did not understand just with the curriculum. So that's where I went for certification. But if you don't have that, it will not be that big of a deal, because you can obviously, like, there are certifications like CFA and other CAIA, etc., for finance specific that I know. But those things are something which you could always do later on. So it's not essential that you pursue it while you are studying like for your curriculum in the college. I'm sorry if there are more questions that I have missed. All right, sure. So I think this answers all your questions and this sort of prepares you for all the things that are going to come after CET. So all the best to everyone. Are you sure there are no other questions? Thank you once again for being a very patient audience. I really had a great time answering all your questions. So all the best. And thank you so much for being here.